Hello, I'm Chase Godchuk, and today is October 29th, 2025. I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and I will be interviewing Darius Captain about his life history as a first-generation Zoroastrian in the United States. The interviewee resides in a suburb just outside of Sacramento, California. This interview will be part of the FEZANA Fires Oral History Project. Darius, please state your full name, current location, and age or birth date.
Okay. Darius Captain, live in Granite Bay, California, suburb of Sacramento. Uh, just turned 84, October 4th, 1941.
Great. Thank you, Darius. Now, to begin your story, tell me about your early childhood and how you grew up and where you went to school and things like that.
Okay, I was born in Bombay, which is now Mumbai, but I was brought up in Nagpur, which is in the center of India, basically. And I had my complete education in Nagpur before I came to America. So I went to a Roman Catholic school for 11 years, called the St. Francis de Sales High School. And from then I went to the Science College, and from there I went to the Engineering College. And then I came to America. So in terms of my childhood, spent 11 years in school. I had a pretty normal childhood, I would say. I was the only child. So my parents also were born in Bombay, but we grew up I grew up in Nagpur. And in school, spent 11 years there. Pretty eventful, happy childhood, I would say. As I said, I was the only child, but I was not spoiled. And I was a fairly good student. I came in the top three always in my class. So later on, I was able to get all the scholarships and everything, but that's later on. But I was pretty much interested. I was pretty good in my studies. I used to take part in what you call college concerts every year in school. I was very much interested in music. Both my parents were musicians, so I got that music thing right from the beginning. And I play a number of instruments on my own, but I can tell that later on. Uh, and What else can I say? Yeah, I graduated with what you call with honors in my high school exam, and then went to the science college, graduated with major in physics, and then went to engineering college, and then got a degree in electrical engineering before I came to America. And as I said, in school, as I said, it was pretty, I was not so much in sports. I used to play cricket and some other games like that. But I was good in education debates, general knowledge and stuff like that in science. Mathematics was my favorite subject, stuff like that. So anything on details you want me to tell you?
I was just gonna ask where in India did you go to college and then did you go to
Okay, all my
college?
education was in Nagpur, where I was brought up.
Okay.
So the St. Francis High School, Science College, Engineering College is all in Nagpur.
And then did you go to college in the US or just as a job?
No, actually, I was supposed to go to, before I came here, I had an admission in what they call the Indian Institute of Management over there. Then they just started this, and that time uh, they had two such institutions in India, one in Calcutta and the other one in Ahmedabad with Harvard and MIT. So I was able to get admission into the one with the MIT one in Calcutta, but then I got admission in America, so I decided not to take that and came here in America. And I first came to Michigan Technological University. And although my degree was in engineering, I was always interested in management. So I found this course, which was kind of it was a higher kind of it's more than a bachelor's, but in the sense it was a graduation type of course for just for engineers, and it was called engineering administration. So I did that program. There were like 58 credits. I finished that in 3 semesters, 9 months, and then I moved to Chicago, started working. My first job was with IBM, but since I didn't get an MBA, that thing was not called MBA, it was called engineering administration. When I wanted to get an MBA, so then I got admission into Northwestern University in Chicago, and in the campus over there in the evening campus in the downtown of Chicago. And I went there and I got my MBA from there. So that was my education.
I was gonna add on to that, like
Sure.
what memories when you first moved to the US as a college student did you have of like going
Yeah,
to
it was a fairly interesting one and a little surprising one too, because I found the knowledge. Well, this was a small campus. It was in Michigan, so it was not like New York and things like that. But the people had no idea what India was. They thought India was a land of jungle or something like that, you know. And I used to have fun with them. I used to tease them. I used to tell them stories which were not true, you know, all kinds of stuff. And then I would go and tell them, hey, everything I told you was not correct and all that stuff. But on my very first day, I remember when I got into the elevator. Actually, before that, I must say that I when I reached New York and then I came to Detroit, flew to Detroit, and then I took a bus to go to Michigan in Houghton, Michigan. And the bus over there was reaching there at like 4:30 in the morning. And I was just thinking, like, you know, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go when I come over here? I don't know anybody, nothing. Where is the university? What happens? And surprisingly, there was a very nice American couple there, just there to receive me over there. They had done this through the foreign student group over there. So they were assigned, pick me up. They took me home, you know, gave me breakfast and all that, dropped me at the college. And I kept in touch with them till the end, till they passed away, just a few years ago. So I was in touch with them all the time. But that was a real good surprise that there was somebody there to receive me because I was just wondering what will I do otherwise, you know. And then the very first day in college, I remember getting into the elevator, and this American kid over there, he saw me and says, "Oh, you're from India." He said, "You're a camel jockey." So I said, "What's?" I said, "Camel jockey." I said, "You know, we hardly see camels in India over there. Only if you go to the desert, you find camels over there." But he was the impression like, you know, we live in this kind of place where there are camels all over the place. I said, no, 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 that's, you know, we don't have that kind of stuff. But I don't know why they call us camel jockeys. And the next question he asks me was, what's your IQ? You know, because those are the students who come, they're supposed to be, you know, pretty educated and all that stuff. They get it, only they can get admission and all that stuff. So, and I didn't know what IQ was. So I said, what's that? You know, I never heard of IQ in India. We didn't have that in, you know, of course, after, later on, I found out information quotient and all that stuff. But, and I was always curious. I said, what is this IQ stuff, you know? But that was something for the later on. I mean, I can tell you later on. But that was the kind of question I heard. And then the things they would ask you, the questions like, you know, do you guys live on trees over there and this and that? And actually, this is a nice incident. Like the guy next to me was from Nigeria, and he told me the story. He said, "Yeah, I went to a kind of a party over there where there were old people over there, and they asked me, he said, do you guys live on trees?" And I said, yes. So then he says, but how do the children climb up? So he said, oh, we have escalators for them, you know. So that I thought that was a nice, funny one. The nice answer to give that way. But they had this impression, you know, that we come from the jungle, and I should tell them, you know, that my roommate at that time was an American roommate for a few months, and I think he was married to an Indian girl, so he knew about India. So he was teasing them like one day after, you know, when we finished exams and all that, all night we were having drinking beer and having party and all that stuff. He said, you know, Darius sleeps on a bed of nails. I said, yeah. So they said, oh, how big are the nails? I said, oh, about this much, you know, about 2 inches big. And they believed everything I told them. They asked me, do you have elephants there? I said, yeah, we have elephant drive-in theaters, just like you have drive-in movie theaters. We have elephant movie theaters there. And then how do you climb up from the elephant? I'm thinking about my Tarzan movies. I say you can go from the trunk or you can go from the back, you know. And then next day, then I told my roommate, I said, you know, I mean, this guy's like, they know I was joking. He said, no, no, they really believe you. They believe whatever you said. So I had to go back over there to the room and say, hey, listen, guys, everything I told you yesterday was just for fun. It was not really true, everything, you know. But they just believed everything I told them, you know, about all this stuff. So what I'm saying is that surprised me, you know. They never and they would think like, you know, do you have cows on the street? Do you have airports? Kind of all that kind of stuff they read. So they think that that's what India is, you know. And to me, America was just a difference. I remember when I came to America, my cousin was telling me, oh, I had a Parker pen with me, so I was taking that with me. So why are you taking a Parker pen to America? There'll probably be pens at every desk put over there, you know, Parker pens or something like that. And the other thing was like, it was interesting things was like I had a nice suit over there, but I was just had a little darn on the suit. So I said, oh, it's going to look bad over there if I take it to America. You know, in America they must be wearing really good clothes and all this stuff. When I come over here, I see them torn jeans and all kind of stuff. And I said, "Whoa, I should have brought my suit. I mean, why did I leave that behind?" But the idea was that, I had a different idea of like over. So it was a kind of a nice mix of that sense. My idea of America was that, oh, everything is just like Hollywood. Like we see Hollywood movies. But when I came over here and I saw the students all dressed up in rags and stuff like that, I mean, all that kind of thing, it was so different, you know. So that was my impression about in America when I first came.
And
So
then
anyway, so
what was your
what else? Any questions?
what was your first job, and then how did that lead you to other jobs after that?
Okay. My first job was with IBM. Um, actually, so this is what they call a systems engineering kind of job. It was with IBM. So you have to give an exam. They took an entrance exam, what kind of stuff it was. And then the exam was not difficult. But what impressed me was that how soon can you do it? How fast can you think about it? So that was the exam that IBM had. It's not that you cannot do these questions. If you have time, you can do it. But the question is how quick you can do it. Because I remember my roommate had a master's degree also in engineering and all this stuff, but he didn't get through. But I got through for some reason. So it was not just like it doesn't matter about your education so much, but how quick you are in thinking in that sense. So I got admission over there, and then of course I went to what eventually. Then I was working for United Airlines in Chicago, and I remember I'd gone to India, and that year in 72 when I came back, it was really cold. They had about 100 inches of snow in the wintertime. I could hardly get into my house because it was covered with snow. And my neighbor had kind of cut a little passage from the ice so that we could even get into the house. And I said, this is just too much. I'm getting out of here. So I decided to move to California because we'd been to California before. I loved San Francisco area. So I said, I want to move to San Francisco area. So I decided that then and there that I'm going to get out of here and then move to San Francisco. So Levi Strauss interviewed me over there at the airport. It was winter. They would come to the airport to interview. They called me over for the interview over there in San Francisco and offered me the job. So that's how they moved me to San Francisco. So that's how I came to California.
And then what did you work for in
Well,
California?
I worked over there for Levi Strauss. Then later on, I worked for United Airlines over there. No, sorry, United Airlines was I was working for United Airlines in Chicago, and but they wouldn't move me over here because they said you got to pay for yourself if you move there. And Levi Strauss was paying for all the expenses, so I moved with them. So I moved there, and then in 19, I would say 92 or something. No, Yeah, 79. I moved to Sacramento. No, 79, sorry. 79, I was in the Bay Area. And in 93, I moved to Sacramento because I was at that time, at one time, I mean, I was in the systems programming area and there were jobs galore available. You can just walk on anywhere, you can get a job. But at that time, there was we got laid off over there. The companies were being bought over. So I got laid off and then I got a job in Sacramento. So that's how I moved to Sacramento in 1993.
So then you worked that job for a little bit, and now what's your life like?
Well, then eventually I was working for even that one got closed down. Then I got a job finally with the state of California, and I worked there for like about 15 years at the end before I retired from there. Before that, I was working also. I worked also for San Jose State University for a couple of years. I was what you call kind of an associate director of systems and programming for the university over there. So I had a group of people. So I later on moved into management side. So I had a group of people working for me, like about 18 people working for me.
And
And
then
then
now
now
what
of
do you,
course since 2009 I'm retired. I retired in beginning of 2009. So from 2009 onwards, I'm here retired now, but I, I feel I'm more busy now than when I was working. I don't know because I'm kind of interested in the stock market. Every morning I'm doing options and stuff like that in the market. So half the day just goes right there, and I don't even have time to read the papers. Sometimes by the time I finish the papers, it's past midnight. I don't go to bed till midnight now. So, but when I was working, I mean, I had all the time, but now it's kind of the other way around. And I'm also busy, of course, with the associations and stuff like that. I was involved with three associations in America, and when the one was started in Chicago, I was there. Then when we started in the Bay Area, I was there. When we started in Sacramento, I was there. So I've been a member right from the beginning of those associations, involved with them. And I used to be on the board of all three. I was also the president of the association in the Bay Area. And over here, I was the vice president, but this year I'm not on the board. I said I'm trying to move some young people there. I said it's time for them to get in and for me to get out from there. So, but I'm still involved with them. I do all the work, but I'm not on the board itself. But I rent the place. I do all kinds of other work that I was doing before. So I'm quite busy with the association work.
Okay, so then this is kind of transitioning to a different like questions type. It's almost like what
Okay.
does being a Zoroastrian in the US mean to you?
Hey, well, surprisingly, I've learned more about Zoroastrianism and the culture, the Iranian culture in America than in India. Because in
Really?
India, like I didn't have any religious class, although I did become a Nawar, which is the priesthood, when I was 9 years old. I mean, I went through the ceremony, 1 month ceremony over there. I had to learn like about 40 chapters of the book by heart and all the stuff. But I was only 9 years old that time. I had my 7 years, I had my Naujod, and 9 years I did my Nawar. But as I said, I don't remember anything about it since I was young. But over here, coming to America, most of the people over here in the association here are from Iran. So I've learned a lot about the Iranian culture, the life that they had, and the history about the Iranians and stuff like that. So, and even about the religion, we have religious classes. I follow that over here, go sometimes. So I've learned more about the religion and the culture and the language, the history of Iran, all that over here than when I was, because in India, you take things for granted. I mean, we didn't have to do anything. I didn't go to any religious class or do anything. I didn't even know how to read Gujarat. I mean, I thought I didn't know Gujarati, but since I knew Hindi, which is very similar to Gujarati, I could read that and learn that for my now initiation over there. So in terms of that, I would say I feel that I'm more a Zoroastrian here than I was in India. Because over there we just took it for granted. We went to now weddings, this and that, and go to the Gary, but that's about it. Kind of thing. As I said, I went to a Roman Catholic school. Probably the first prayers I learned was, the Catholic prayers because they used to, take classes over there, and I used to listen to that. So I learned those by heart more than before my prayers as such. So I knew a lot about the Catholic religion also from there and stuff like that. So, but I've always enjoyed traveling and looking at culture of different countries and different things. So wherever I go, go to churches, go to all kinds of places and visit that. I love traveling. And as I said, my last job in Chicago was United Airlines. So I've been around the world a few times. I've been to all the countries in the world. So I love to travel. So I like to see the
I,
culture of different countries and stuff.
I was gonna ask you
But over here, yeah, yeah, go
more
ahead.
about your family, like how your parents raised you and if you had any siblings that influenced you at all.
Okay, as I said, I was the only child.
Like,
Uh,
yeah.
my father was an internal auditor of a company, so he worked for a company in Nagpur itself, where I was brought up. And actually, when I moved to Chicago, I got my parents to immigrate over here. So they stayed with me from actually from 73. So they were, when my daughter was born, I got married in 72. Sorry, I got married in 73. My daughter was born in 74. So since that time, my parents moved here permanently, so to say. But before that, in about in 72 or so, I had got them to America for a visit. So I'd sent them around the world. So they went all over the world, visiting some countries and all that. And then they stayed with me for about like 6 months or so, and then they went back. But then when my daughter was born, they came and got them over here. And they were like doing babysitting and doing everything. They took care of my daughter while we both worked and stuff like that. So they were here and they both lived in America till they passed away. So I had my parents. As I said, I don't have any brothers or sisters. I only have cousins in India and stuff like that. So So my family, my parents were with me, and my wife also, her her family also eventually moved. All of them moved to California. Her sisters, a brother, and the parents also moved here later on. So their family was right here too. So we had both the families together over here.
And what about your wife and kids? Any information about that you wanted to know? We wanted to know.
Okay, okay. My wife is also from Nagpur, and I didn't know her that well when I came to America, but I knew the family pretty well. So I used to go to in that house in that area quite often over there. And she was a very bright student. She in her master's degree, she came first class first over there. And I think Zenobia might know that there's only one university in each town, and all colleges, the exams are given by the one university. So she stood third among thousands of students. She got the gold medal there, and she also did her IAS, which is the Indian Administrative Service, which is like you can be like in the foreign service or foreign secretary, ambassador, all that kind of stuff. So she went through that, and then she got married to me, and then she came here. So I used to feel sorry for her that you left all that and came over here. And her English was pretty. The school she went to, a Parsi school, Tata school, where they were very particular about the pronunciations, phonetics in English, and all that stuff. And I remember when I got married, I was working in Chicago, and my boss asks me, "Does your wife know how to speak English?" And I didn't know what to answer. Like she had a master's in English and all that stuff. And I told my wife about it, and she was laughing about it. And then when she came through the immigration in Chicago, the first question they asked her was, "Where did you learn to speak this English?" you know, so because her English was more of a European style. And same thing in the job there she working. Where are you from? Where did you learn to speak this English? And she was a very good debater, and she was kind of win prizes in intercollegiate competitions, education debates, and all that kind of stuff. And over here also, she had two master's degrees there. I mean, she has a master's from here too. And then she wanted to she got admission for PhD in the University of Chicago, but I kind of talked her out of it. I said, "What are you going to do? They just maybe teach over there, and that's no life kind of stuff." So she got out of that, did psychology, and did psychiatry, got an RN degree, so she became a nurse from that stuff, and then she graduated from Kaiser after about 25 years of service over there. She was a psychiatric nurse in psychiatry. So and she's very much interested in languages. I said, currently she's learning the Avesta language, which is the old ancient language in Iran. The Avesta was where the books are written and all the stuff. So she's taking online courses from Bombay University at about like 6:30 in the morning on Saturdays over here. So she's been doing that and she can write and read Avesta language, which is a very tough language. So as I said, she's very much interested into the language side of it. Psychiatry language. She's more of that English major type person, more languages. Whereas I'm on the other side, you know. So so anyway, my son also, well, he's got a master's in computer science. So he used to work for Microsoft. He just got laid off. Now he's learning IT. He's working for some kind of a startup company. So he's also in the IT, since a long time, he's always been in IT also. So he's doing pretty well. He likes the IT area. And my daughter works for the University of Davis, UC Davis. But she's not in the medical field, but she's on the management side of it over there. So I've got two kids, a girl, and then a boy. My daughter's married. My son is not married. He says, I don't want all that botheration. He doesn't want to get married. So, see, he's working right now from Hawaii most of the time. He's back and forth. He has a house in Southern California, and he goes back and forth.
I was gonna go back to the Zoroastrian aspect. Like I
Yeah.
was gonna ask how you started the Sacramento Association for Zoroastrians.
Okay, but before that, as I said, I was involved when we started the one in Chicago. That was
Mm.
the first one in about 1972 or so. And so I was in the board there, the first board. I was involved there. I used to take care of all the entertainment side of it, arrange for the picnics, all that kind of stuff. So I've always been interested in that thing, and I still do that even over here when I have activities, organize, parties. So people wanted, music, so I would arrange for the bands to come here from here and there and all that stuff. When I was in Chicago, I at one time was involved with a program where the music program, Indian music and dances and stuff like that. And then we had about 800 people over there this was in the what you call Indian Institute of Illinois Institute of Technology. I used to go there almost regularly. I was almost there. They thought that I was a student there, so I almost used to spend my weekends there in the beginning. And then I'd organize this program for them. This was for the aid of the Bangladesh at that time. So as I said, I was always interested in music. As I said, I play a number of instruments. I used to, and but my father was was very good. He was a professional in that sense. He would teach music to all that stuff. So almost every weekend there would be a party somewhere, and they would call him to come and play in the parties and stuff like that. So I was always involved there. So I've got three of his violins over here with me, which I don't use right now. I used to play the mandolin. I've made the mandolin. I've played the drums. So anything, but everything by ear. I never took lessons. I used to observe my dad play or somebody else play, and then I would just play on my own, basically. So and even over here, when they would have parties, I would play the harmonium. People would sing, and I would play with them and stuff like that. So as I said, and I have keyboard. I've got like three keyboards back home over here right now. So my music was my passion basically, since I was brought up basically when I was young, because we had musicians come to my house in my parents' place. They would all play with my dad, so I would listen to them. When they would go away, I would hear the song, and then I would sit on the harmonium and play myself. So that's how I learned, basically by ear. Listen to the song. If I know the song, then I would be able to play. So and I keep that. I still do that kind of stuff. So I'm very much interested in music and stuff like that. So I like to organize such activities for people. They do that. If they want to have some party, they say, "Hey, can you arrange a music session for us? Get people to come and play," and I would do that. So that's why I have a lot of contact over here. Not just the Zoroastrian contact in Sacramento, but I would say at least another between 100 and 200 people, which are just Indians over here who have in contact because of this music thing. I used to play over there, so most of them know me. They contact me. I have a lot of connections over here also. So music is my second life, so to say.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
Um,
it was, yeah, okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Anything else?
Um, I was just gonna ask one more question. It's kind of like a closing question. It's how would you like to be remembered by future generations and other people in general?
Well, I guess I help a lot of people in many ways. If they need some context with certain people, they say, I seem to have a lot of contact with different, whether they're doctors or accountant engineers or whatever. Any activities, they would people contact me and say, hey, do you know somebody who does this, a lawyer or something or the other, whatever. And so I'm quite involved with people, helping them out, getting things done. Same thing with the association. If something needs to be done, I make sure that it's done. Uh, I I am also kind of, the way I look at it is like, when I came to America, I came on scholarships, complete scholarships. I didn't have to pay anything myself. So there were scholarships in India, actually especially meant for Zoroastrian students coming for foreign studies. So I was able to get number of those scholarships. I came here completely free. So I kind of felt that I should do something similar to give back to the community over here. So I'm kind of involved with the FEZANA scholarship people over here. So I've kind of, you know, I have some scholarships in my name and my parents' name to give it to students over here. So I kind of feel that I'm returning that as what I got, I'm giving it back. So I'm involved in that area. I'm involved with the association, with FEZANA and all these people doing activities, association, whatever work. So I guess people will remember me for what I've done till now, basically. I like to not just give charity, but also do other activities, help other people do whatever it is. So that is the way I feel that I will remember in that sense. And there's something that struck me very much. I read this line, and that impressed me a lot. And it said that when you leave this world, you can't take with you what you have got. You can only take with you what you have given. It's a very deep meaning behind that. You know, so what you've got, you have to leave behind. But what you
Mm.
have given to others in whatever way you can, that will stay over here. And that's what I believe in.
Um,
So you have
okay,
to help your community and your I'm mostly involved with the Indian associations and stuff like that. So yeah, go ahead.
This is the last question before I ask you about like any artifacts you want to share. So the
Okay.
question is if you had any advice for like younger Zoroastrians who are going into like their careers and graduating from universities or something like that, what advice would you give them?
Well, especially in this, yeah, in this country, it's much easier like than in India. Like, in India, you go with a certain kind of education. Like, I was not really so much interested in engineering, but the field that you have to be if you really want to be successful. Later on, did get my paralegal certificate over here just for myself. But the advice I would give people is to just follow your passion, believe in what you like, and do that. Don't give up, and and don't try to avoid stress in the sense like whatever I mean, you things come across to you, difficulties, hardships in life, but they are nothing compared to what can happen. Just look at the other side. Like there are people who have, as long as you have your health, you got everything. That's the way I see it. You can change things. Your life changes. You may not have a good income now, but later on it can be, you can be a pauper here now, but 20 years from now you might be a multimillionaire in this country. So it's like that. So you never give up hope. So it's all. But if you do something that you like, and if you're interested in, you'll be do good at it. So just follow your passion, and uh, the other thing is, of course, make sure that you don't hurt people. Whatever you do, in terms of when you speak careful about what you tell them, that sometimes there are things that you might think about somebody, but make sure that you don't tell them what you really think, and that's you're so and so kind of stuff. But you try to make them move into a different, better direction in a different way, but not by getting mad at them or something like that. So you got to be really calm when you talk to the people. You don't get angry at them. You don't tell them off that you're so and so kind of stuff, but try to show them that in spite of what they tell you, you still want to be friends with you. So that's the way I see life. You've got to be careful about how you treat people.
Well, thank you so much
Anything
for
else?
now. I was gonna
Okay.
say you gave me a lot of good information about yourself. I liked your story. It was pretty unique. Say thank you and nice speaking with you.